Hello and welcome to another video. This is the Bathtub. We've got a demo of a game today that's due to be released later this year in Q4, so almost at that point now. So this is just a quick show of what is available in the free demo of this game. This is Ghost on the Shore. I'll just have a quick read through of what Steam says about the game first of all. An exploration game about emotional ties that transcend even death. Riley is faced with a headstrong ghost, urging her on an adventure across atmospheric shores, uncovering the island's tragic secret. Choices and dialogue shape the bond between the two, ultimately deciding Riley's fate. This is by a developer called Like Charlie and published by Application Systems Heidelberg. So that's a tongue twister after a few beers in itself. This should be my sort of game, really. It's a story-rich exploration game. That's what I really enjoy. So yeah, it should be absolutely great. So what you do is you start off with a cutscene on a boat. It looks stormy, and the next thing you know, you are on this island or group of islands called the Rogues. You play as Riley, and you have a ghost in your head called Josh, an Irish ghost. Obviously, why wouldn't you? And so you start off and you start walking forwards a little bit, and the conversation starts to kick off between the both of you. And you get multiple choices as to how you'd like to answer, and that's pretty much the way the conversations carry on between you and Josh as the game goes forwards. And those decisions that you make in terms of your conversation responses will affect the game. The game can end in multiple different ways, so it has replay value, and you can get taken down, I believe it's 4 different paths. So one day you play the game, you might end up discovering certain things, you might discover other things on a different occasion when you make other conversational choices. The mystery here, because it's all about trying to work out what's happened to this island, and there's nobody seemingly there anymore. You walk around, there's deserted buildings, there's shipwrecked rowing boats on the beach, quite atmospheric, and you can really get into the spirit of the game and what they're trying to do there. So for me, it really works. There's an air of mystery and an air of abandonment. You walk into buildings and you can interact with artifacts, so you can pick up letters, pictures, objects, and you can read them. You may get some clues as to what's happened to the people, why is there nobody there, why the building's fallen down. And your character likes to sketch, and it might sound a bit strange as a premise for a game, but what will happen as you walk around, there'll be an option to draw a sketch, and your character will quickly draw whatever it is that you're looking at. And even from artifacts that are picked up as well, they're all drawn into effectively an imaginative even sketch. So as you go through, you can flick back at these sketches, and your character Riley is drawing what life may have been like on this island when there were people about. So one example is she finds an abandoned house, and she can use the artifacts to piece together what the family might have looked like, just to try and give a human element to the game as well, of what may have been there in the past. There are also interactions with ghostly type people. So as you walk around, I mean, you kind of walk down this predefined path. I mean, you can walk where you like, but you kind of sort of funneled into certain directions, but that's by the by, and that's fine. But as you walk, there's a couple of scenarios in the demo where you come across these ghosts, and they do briefly talk to you, and again you can interact with multiple answers, and you might be able to ascertain some clues that way. I'm not going to spoil too much, but they are interactable, and you know, you do try your best to work out what's going on. But it does add a nice little element to the game. You're interacting with the past as well as the present, or so it seems. Who knows? I can't really tell at this point. As well as being atmospheric, I mean, it's worth mentioning, this isn't like a scary, jumpy ghost game, horror game, or anything like that. It doesn't seem that way so far. It seems very light-hearted almost, and very much very melancholy. And yeah, but it still doesn't detach from what I think has a lot of potential to be a really good story here. And I will probably be very interested to look and see what this gets released as in terms of price, and if it's reasonable, then I would say I want to actually explore a bit more. I want to know what's happening. It has drawn me in to an extent. I want to know. I'm quite interested by how this place was abandoned. I want to find that out. So it's certainly winning me over on the storyline. Just a word on the way the game looks as well. Now, it's not a photorealistic graphics game, so the graphics aren't up there. They're not amazing. They're not trying to create some sort of realistic vibe. They are animated and quite obviously animated to almost a cartoony level, but it fits in with the game. It captures the abandonment of the island really nicely, the eeriness and the feel. So it's done in a really, really nice way, and the objects you can pick up and interact with as well, they all look fantastic, and they look weathered, they look worn. You can manipulate them, so move them, spin them, turn them over. All of the artifacts look very nice. So whether or not it's, if you're walking past some scenery or through some scenery, it's done really, really nicely. Tiny little couple of niggles that I have with this game, really. One comes down to some of the dialect. Now, it's nothing to do with the voice acting or anything like that. It's all fine. It's actually interruptions. Now, as you're talking to Josh and Josh talks to you as Riley, they sometimes cross-cut each other. So if Riley's talking and they are about to get to the end of the sentence, then Josh will step in and start his sentence. So there does seem to be an issue with conversational cues here when one does need to finish, and sometimes needs to finish with a pause before the other one starts, just to make the conversation seem a bit realistic. Otherwise, it's either interrupting or there's literally half a second gap between what one person said and the next one. It doesn't feel like a natural flow of conversation. So I think that needs to be addressed by the developers. And another tiny little thing, not that bothered, but worth mentioning, is you can't run when you're talking to Josh. And you can run normally, so if there's no conversation in place, you can run by holding the shift key down, great, just to speed things along a bit. But that stops when you're talking, and I don't see why that needs to happen. Maybe there's a reason. You can't run when you're exploring buildings and things, which I actually understand. Maybe because you need to explore them. I don't know. But yeah, that's a tiny little couple of bugbears of mine, really, there. Because this is only a very small demo, I mean, it's only taken me half an hour to get to the end of it, I can't really give too much comment on everything because, well, it's not a full game, so it wouldn't be fair for me to do so. But so far, everything points to something with a very interesting idea. It's nicely done in the way it looks and the way you can interact with things. And the dialogue as well is actually really good, bar, as I've mentioned just a little bit earlier, the interruptions between the two main characters. But apart from that, I'm going to be following this just to see when it comes out. I've got an idea of price in my head, which I feel would be a reasonable price. I'm not going to divulge that, considering the demo nature of the game so far, but we'll see what it comes out as. Yeah, there may be future videos on a fuller version of this, so we'll have to wait and see. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.